So, I've been working on my vibration and using the emotional guidance scale to get me into alignment. And, of course, joy, appreciation, and happiness being at the top. But I have a question about when you're feeling those emotions. Let's say you start off the day and you're feeling great. You feel happy, you feel in alignment, you feel in the zone.
Which means, in this moment, while I'm feeling happy, I've chosen to see it as the source within me sees it. So there is no vibrational variance in this moment of focus. Important, in this moment of focus. Some subjects are easier than others, but in this moment of focus, I've focused myself into alignment with all that I am. So the wholeness of me is pouring through me. And that's why I feel that power, that thrill, that appreciation, that love, that clarity, that exhilaration, that passion. And
according to law of attraction, you would be attracting that is like that to you. But what about when you're in a great mood, you're in the zone, and then you come across something, whether it's another person's negativity or all the things that you mentioned before?
Here's the thing.
Why are you attracting that?
Here's the flawed premise in that. First of all, you cannot be drawn to something that's not active in your vibration. So anything that happens, there's something active in your vibration that has caused that rendezvous. Sometimes, let's say that you're really tuned in and someone having not such a good time comes into your experience. It may be that inside the vortex you have called them because they are wanting something that you have to offer. But you can tell by the way you feel where your vibration is about the subject. In other words, it's a very common misunderstanding, a true flawed premise. People will say, I know I was feeling good, but then this happened. And we say, the way things manifest always match the vibration that you've got going on. A woman said to us one day, I was driving down the freeway in the Bay Area of California, San Francisco. And she said, I was really happy. In fact, she said, Abraham, I was listening to one of your cassettes. And I got pulled over by a policeman and given a very expensive ticket. And she said, and I was happy. How could that happen? And we said, what was the ticket for? And she said, for not wearing my seatbelt. And we said, well, what do you think about that? And she said, I think it's a ridiculous law. I think it steps all over my toes of freedom. I don't think I should have to wear my seatbelt. I think I'm smart enough to know how to take care of myself. I don't like the helmet law either. I don't think it's anybody's business whether I wear a seatbelt or not. If I want to kill myself, it's up to me. I don't think they should tell me that I have to wear a seatbelt. My seatbelt is uncomfortable. I really don't like wearing a seatbelt. I don't think I should have to wear a seatbelt. And we said, can you see the vibration that was percolating within you? She said, but I was listening to a recording. I wasn't thinking about that at that moment. And we said, but it's part of your vibrational mix. It is active enough in your vibration that when we ask you the simple question, what was the ticket for? You're on a rampage of outrage that lasted for 2 or 3 minutes. Very active vibration in your vibration. So we said to her, so you're driving down the freeway with thousands upon thousands of other motorists. And here is a policeman out trolling for revenue. It's what they do. It's why the laws exist. So out there, you think we're kidding? They're out there trolling for revenue. And these policemen are very psychic because they are, because they've tuned themselves to the vibration of what they're looking for. That's what they're looking for. That's what's active in their vibration. Law of attraction says that one, that one, that one, that one. You're driving down the street. You think that you're hiding, but what's radiating from the roof of your car is, pick me, pick me, pick me, pick me. It's like a sure thing, you see. When you feel that strongly about something and you are in the vicinity of someone who's looking for you, law of attraction outside this vortex is going outside the vortex of what you are wanting is going to put you together. So let's talk about something further. We've been talking about this vortex of creation, and we so want you to feel the bigness and the power of this. We want to say, feel the energy of who you are as this eternal being. Source energy, rockets of desire causing you to expand, law of attraction adding to this. In other words, the bigness of this energy and the bigness of the way law of attraction is responding to this, indescribable in human terms. But law of attraction is also responding to what you've got going on over here. In other words, there are literally vortexes all over the place relative to different subjects. And so let us be clear when we say to you that anything that happens to you only ever can come in response to an active vibration that you've got going on. And if you aren't aware by the way you feel that there is a contradictory active vibration going on, we call that pre-manifestational awareness. Don't worry about it. It will get bigger until it will manifest, and then you will see it. Well, it's all right, because when it manifests, what happens? What happens when something you don't want manifests? You know what you don't want. You know more clearly what you do want. So the stakes are higher. You put more power into your asking, which means now you're more aware, or you can be if you care about the way you feel, about whether you're a vibrational match to this newly revved up, newly amended, newly created vortex.
I see. So so what you're saying is either your emotions are going to tell you, or you're going to get a big fat ticket, and that's going to tell you that was there.
That's basically what we are saying.
But if you, and don't get mad at me for this, because everybody, I think,
to do that, we would have to come out of the vortex.
Right? No, I'm kidding. Good one. I was kidding though. But you know what? Every time when you say, "Are you embracing your contrast?" everyone is always like, "Well, not exactly." And that's essentially, if there's two things that people often try to get around, it's aging and death, or how do I get out of contrast? How do I get around this thing? And there is a certain...
Well, it would go ever so much better for all of you if you would just accept these universal laws and work within them. In other words, we're not kidding you. If with a little bit of effort, you can focus yourself back into the vortex on every subject. If you left this seminar today determined, if you leave today understanding what the vortex is, and do you? It's the vibrational state of being that is the precursor of all that will manifest. But even more than that, it is the vibrational state of being that represents who you truly are and how you truly feel. And if you don't line up with it, you are less than who you are. There's an emptiness in not being who you are. So it's not just to get the stuff you want. It's to be the being that life has caused you to become. So if you leave this gathering understanding this vortex and understanding this vibrational being that you are, you will release your fear and worry about death, because you will be a vibrational match to the eternalness of who you are. In other words, when you connect with that being, that eternal being, that old, wise, eternal being, then the shortness or the length of this physical experience becomes the irrelevant thing that it really should be. And then you're able to focus the wholeness of who you are into these meaningful moment by moment by moment by moment experiences, where you can, unless you are expressing the fullness of who you are, these moments are not meaningful anyway. So if you leave this gathering understanding the existence of the vortex, understanding the vibrational relationship between you as a source energy being and you here in this physical body, and you care about the way you feel, which means you manage this gap, this vibrational gap, in less than 30 days, you will have had enough exposure to enough normal contrast about the normal things that have been bothering you. In other words, those issues that are lurking somewhere in your vibration that are potential tickets waiting to happen. Every one of those will have showed itself to you in enough meaningful ways that if you've taken a tenth of them and focus wheeled on them, you will have cleaned up your vibration so much that you will be significantly in the vortex. And when you do that, anyone who's watching you will be able to notice a substantial shift, not only in the way you appear to feel, but in the things that are coming to you. It's easier than taking QuickBooks. It's much simpler than any computer course that you would ever take. Give it 30 days of lying in your, here's the regimen. Lie in your bed at night, bask your way to sleep. Wake up in the morning, catch up with the basking and stay there for a minute or two. Have breakfast, brush your teeth, do a focus wheel on 5 of the things that bothered you most yesterday. Pick 1 or 2 of them that's the most meaningful and easiest, and make a list of positive aspects about them. Then do a rampage of appreciation and off you go. And in 30 days, you will not be the same vibrational point of attraction. Everything in your world will have shifted, and it will be noticeable big time.
If it's understandable that contrast is there to show what we don't want, but also by nature the fact
contrast is there to choose from.
Choose from, okay.
In other words, contrast doesn't exist as the bane of your existence. Contrast exists as variety. There, you may not believe this, and a lot of people don't, and we're not kidding, even though we sound sarcastic. There are things that you see as unwanted contrast that others see as wanted. Just like when you go to the cookie counter, you might not want the peanut butter cookie, but you shouldn't demand that they be taken away from the counter. Just don't pick one. Oh, that peanut butter stuff's going to get on my plate. I know it is. I'd feel so much better if you just remove it. And we say, just pick what you want and leave the rest. And that's the way contrast is. It's there for you to choose from.
Can vibration be cleaned up to the point where it's pure and you don't attract anything that contrasts, that you have smooth sailing, peace?
Well, here's the thing. Here's the flaw in that reasoning. What you're saying is, Abraham, I would really like it if I could just look into an environment and see only what I want. Because it's so much easier to see what I want and then just have a positive response to seeing what I want. And we say, there's no expansion that can come from that. That would lead to endedness. The expansion comes from seeing what you want, seeing what you don't want, launching the rockets of desires, recognizing that there's a vibrational variance, and then having the fun. And we cannot emphasize this enough. Having the fun, feeling the thrill of bringing yourself into alignment with your newfound expansion. That's what life is. That's what life is. That's the ride you came to ride. People say, Abraham, you've got to be kidding. I came to stir up trouble so that I could solve it. And we say more or less. You came to expand. And the thrill of physical experience is then coming into alignment with the expansion. So then you do. And for a moment you have that calm that you were talking about, that peaceful feeling of satisfaction and contentment. But right along with the accomplishment of what you set out to accomplish, you also now have a new vantage point with a new set of contrasting experiences that's going to launch you into more expansion. And we want you to leave this gathering not only knowing about the vortex and not only more queued up to understand your emotional guidance and how it helps you close the gap, but to understand that life is about expanding and aligning and expanding and aligning and expanding and aligning. And we promise you that if it could be the screwy way you have defined it, where you finally get everything just the way you want it so that there's no more contrast and therefore no more reaching and therefore no more aligning, you would not only be bored, you would be done. And there is no done in this eternity that we are all creating together.